Hello and welcome to another hobby. I'm Austin, and today we're continuing Inktober. Let's spin these wheels and see what we get. Official Inktober, Dibujista, and Witchtober. Alright, so for the official we've got Scarecrow. For Dibujista we've got Mutant. And for Witchtober, Tiger. Okay, so again, a little unsure what to do with this one. Talk through kind of the things I was thinking of a bit. For one, I was thinking of something along the lines of superhero, maybe comic panel kind of fight scene, with the idea of a scarecrow and a tiger being a fairly common theme for a superhero, and with mutant being a thing in X-Men, that kind of stuff. So I was thinking maybe a scarecrow superhero fighting a tiger superhero, something like that. But I was thinking of using actual Scarecrow from Batman, from DC, but then I couldn't really think of a good mutant tiger for Scarecrow to be fighting. So another thing I was thinking is maybe a scene where there's like a Scarecrow out in a field and like a fallen log in the foreground with somebody like hiding behind it, scared looking, and then like a mutant tiger creature jumping out and trying to attack this Scarecrow, as if it's like this person's lucky the Scarecrow was there, because otherwise the tiger might have found them. But then I started thinking, what if I take the Scarecrow prompt and kind of break it up into its component words a little bit and make a scary mutant tiger crow? Then I can just draw a fun like supervillain kind of character that's some kind of mutant crow tiger thing, and it's scary. And I feel like that's one of the funner ideas out of the ones I had, plus maybe the simplest, because I can just do a character design with not having to worry about the background and doing a big full scene and full color and all that stuff. And I really like character design stuff, so I think I'm going to go with something along those lines. So let's start sketching it out. With the design I have in mind, I probably won't need much reference for a tiger, but I'm going to use this to kind of reference how the stripes and stuff work. But it's mostly going to be a kind of anthropomorphic, humanoid body, so it's not going to use tiger proportions or anything much. Now the real question is, what parts do I want humanoid, what parts do I want crow, and what parts do I want tiger? I think I'm just going to kind of start sketching it out. I did a really quick sketch while I was talking about the idea, and I think this might be a pretty good starting point. Mostly humanoid torso, legs, and then big clawed hands that are kind of half tiger, stripes for tiger, probably a tail, and crow's feet. Not in the eyes, but in the feet, and a crow's head, and I don't know about the wings. Maybe feathers on the arms instead. I think I said in an earlier video, I'm not a fan of drawing wings. They're hard to work into an image without them ruining composition, unless they're like the main focus of composition. If I were to back out and draw the character a lot smaller in the center, and then have the wings be really big, like as if they're actually big enough to carry a big buff monster, then I can fit them into the composition better, because they'll be most of the composition. But if it's like a closer up, like this sketch that I did earlier, a little harder to work them into it without them muddying up the silhouette. But I'm just going to start sketching something and see if I like it. I think the easiest way to do that is going to be to do it really small and quick to kind of get the flow of the shapes where I want them, and then work from there. I could try some different stuff for posing, like maybe, well, okay, so I was thinking of maybe doing something more almost regal, like that, but being that I'm kind of breaking up the scarecrow part of the prompt into 2 words, this doesn't really have the scare part of it so much, so I probably won't do that. But I could lean into the scare part more if I make it like really hunched and then really long arms that are kind of dangling, and then maybe lean into the mutant part of the prompt and make them like look like they're not naturally formed, almost like an experiment gone wrong. Have them have kind of muscles in weird places and bends in weird places to make it feel like it's just really unnatural and creepy looking, and downward facing head, eyes kind of just peeking up at the viewer. Could do something like that. long limbs are just generally good for shorthand for creepy. So I could really lean into that by giving it like really long legs. Again, probably really unnatural seeming. Wings don't really fit with the scare part as much, unless they are like broken from the mutation. Like they don't actually work. They didn't form properly or something. Even still, not a fan. Wings are hard, like I said. I think instead I'll probably do like feathers down the arms. Leaning into the scary more, to the creepy, long limbs, unnatural look. What if the whole torso is just like bent right over and then the head twisted unnaturally to look up at the viewer? Something like that. I'm kind of liking it, but it's going to be difficult to get this right, I think. Making that style of creepy. Let's try some more. I don't want to spend too long on the sketching process. Inktober, only got one day, but let's try some more stuff. What about asymmetry? That can often be creepy too. He's got one arm that's more bulky, buff tiger, and one that's longer and creepier, having standing at a weird angle. Alright, as much as I'm liking the idea of leaning into the scary mutant horror aspect of it, I feel like I'm not quite finding the thread on this one. I'm not quite finding what kind of pose and composition to go for. I do have one more idea. I'm going to try that, but if it feels like it's still not working, I'm just going to go back to that very first, this one, and just make something more supervillain and just try to make it kind of a scary expression to get the scare part into it. What I was thinking for this last idea is having this creature facing away from the viewer, as if they've just stumbled upon them feeding on some poor soul or something. So you can put the tiger's tail in there, and maybe like I could even put one of those vestigial wings as if it's half-formed growing out of its back. And then having it kind of looking over its shoulder at the viewer with like kind of blank expression, and then like some meat and viscera hanging off its mouth or something. Be holding on to like, I don't know, an arm. Depends how dark we want this horror to go, how gory. Okay, so actually this one's kind of working for me so far. And I had one other idea. Thinking of leaning even more into the mutant horror aspect of this and making the head kind of half tiger. Put the tiger's lower jaw in, and then the upper beak of the crow, and then it'll hopefully really look like it's unnatural mutation. I just wanted to try and get more of the tiger into this, and I feel like the claws may be one of the better ways to do that. And I think I do like this pose better generally compared to this one, but I have to do something slightly different with this claw hand, I think. I guess tigers don't have much stripes on the lower parts of their extremities, but I'm going to put stripes on these paws a bit anyway to make it clear that this is a tiger part of the creature. Okay, I think I have a design that I quite like this. I think since most of this the process of this video is figuring out what to do, figuring out this first stage process in the sketch. Most of the rest is just going to be inking this in, and I think I'm just gonna drop into time-lapse and go through pretty much the rest of this piece of art without much more explanation of what I'm doing. I think I've pretty much explained the process pretty well. Like, I might stop here and there, but only if something strikes me. Otherwise, I'll see you on the other side. Hey, I'm back. I made a pretty good time, I think, aside from the point where I had to stop and figure out what I was going to do for the brush to color in these large dark areas for the crow's head and wings and legs. But yeah, I wanted something that kind of still looked like traditional ink, like the really rough, gritty ink I was using for the rest of the image, but I wanted it to not just be pure black and white, so I was looking for something that kind of had a really dry marker effect, like it was kind of an old marker running out of ink. And I think the brush I ended up with pretty close to what I was kind of thinking with that. Ended up working out quite well. So I'm gonna crop this down. I was thinking of putting some kind of background in, shading the background darker to add to the creepiness of it, but it just would take a really long time because to keep it this ink style that I want to look actually traditional, I'd have to do it similar to how I did the shadow underneath here or the legs, where it's just a lot of lines rather than just kind of a big dark wash. So I decided against it in the end. I mean, I suppose I could try doing something with like a really wet watercolor brush and see if that still looks like it's traditional, but I have a feeling it's not gonna look the way I want. I'll do a really quick test here. Wouldn't be worth it in the end, I don't think. So, just gonna leave it as is and call that done. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching me explore another hobby. Like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing here. Comment down below what kind of stuff you'd like to see me do in the future, especially once Inktober is over. I'm gonna be kind of just going with whatever strikes me in the moment. So any suggestions are welcome. And have a good one.